I really got nothing else to say. We've been dragging this out a while. We're gonna drag it out some more. Music. This video is brought to you by CyberGameway, with an emphasis on exposing streamers of all types, as well as exploring business relationships with partnered websites and service providers. CyberGameway is the place you want to be for streaming gamers who want that sub bump. To apply for membership or sponsorship, head over to cybergameway.com. TeknoAXE introduces the new E900 Plus environment noise canceling headphones. Incorporating XE's visionary digital 7.1 surround sound, the E900 Plus sports their newly designed 50mm speakers, which kick out a kick-ass dynamic range with an earth-shaking low end. Priced at only $43.99, the E900 Plus clinches the trifecta of weight, sound, and price to kick the competition in the daddy bags. Click the link below and use the code HMODS to get 10% off when you order direct from exa.net. One of the funnest things I get out of building computers like this is the innovation and the challenge. Whenever you're dealing with any, why am I holding these things? These are things that I cut off zip ties. Whenever you're dealing with any kind of case, it doesn't really matter. But when you start modding anything, each case has its own challenges. And every single time I'm working with a new case, I'm always learning something. And with this one, it's no different. Every single time I put new tech into it, I'm always having to innovate just a little bit more, because the case is so old that, you know, there's only so much you can do to it. That said, this is still one of my favorite pieces to work on, because I can keep working on it and it ends up looking cooler and cooler and cooler and cooler in a cooler master case. That was totally accidental. So, with that in mind, this is probably what, part 8 out of all the Commander build videos, and I assure you now it's done, and it's done for a while. So, with that in mind, we will bring you now the big reveal. You good looking. So, Commander 2.0, 3.0, 3.0. This is the third iteration of the Commander. I could not be happier with this. It just looks so good. And I have to say, you know, I was one of those water boys, but I am happy as shit with the Scythe Ninja 5. It is, one, it looks super cool. It is super cool. The temps on this thing they rival Noctua. And I like Noctua, but it's cheaper and it works just as well. The up here fans are doing the job, and temps are well within acceptable ranges, even when I'm playing a video game. Like when I'm playing Cyberpunk on ultra settings, it sounds, the fans have never ramped up, not once. Even BattleTech, which is a really, like, it's Unity built, like it's built on Unity, but on the old system, the fans would ramp up after about 5-10 minutes. This hasn't done that once, and I'm super pleased about that. The fans work really well. If you don't know what up here fans are, get off your bike, run, do not walk, do not collect $200, go to Amazon, get yourself some up here fans. The ARGB PWM fans that I have in here, they work magic. And they're keeping everything nice and cool in here. Like I said, I've never heard the fans ramp up once. I talked a lot about fans. Moving on, the 6700 XT is not a 68 or 6900 XT. Go f yourself. All you PCMR guys, you know what? Most of you are f***ing liars, first of all. I've seen so many pictures on like the PCMR Reddit or the Facebook or something that I've seen in other posts on the Facebook or the Reddit. These people are like stealing other people's photos and trying to pass it off as their own. So quit your f***ing lying, you little bitches. We know you're working with a 970, okay? I saw this post the other day. Someone said, I feel like I shouldn't have bought a 3090. There's no games that really take advantage of it. And my comment to that was, I feel like I shouldn't have even bought a Porsche. There's no racetracks around to really take advantage of it. Fucking shut the fuck up, okay? The rest of us live in the normal world and you're a fucking liar. A 19-year-old, this kid was 19. A 19-year-old with a 3090, there ain't that many rich people on the PCMR group. It's not. It's not. The 6700 is doing its job. And while, you know, whether or not the guy was lying or not, he made a point. There aren't that many games around that would really take the most advantage of a 6900 XT or a 3090. They just aren't. And so a 6700 is a really good middle of the road with all of that, because I'm playing on 1440 ultra settings in Cyberpunk or ultra settings in Hitman, ultra settings in Tomb Raider. They are fucking great at 165 hertz. It looks amazing. Everything is doing its job, and I'm super happy with it. As far as the aesthetics go, as you can see, I didn't really do anything with the case, except for, you know, cutting into the chassis a little bit. What I did do was add the lights and stuff. And I think with the up here fans doing a much better job of cooling, they also brightened up the room a little bit, as well as the air goo lights going on, the RGB strips. I have got the RAM just sort of doing its own thing while the rest of it's white, because I like white. And you know, the GPU is, you know, it's got its lights going on, and then the RAM's got its lights going on. It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be obscene or ostentatious or loud or anything like that. It's classy, and I like classy because this is already a showpiece. You don't need rainbow puke all over the place. One other thing that I'm really digging about this now is the second fan mount in the front. For those of you not paying attention, the Cooler Master CM690 Mark II does not have a second fan mount on top. It just has the one on the bottom. And thanks to Malstrada, this guy on Etsy, he 3D printed me a fan mount for the 5 1/4 inch drive bays. So now there's two in the front, bringing in lots of air, doing a wonderful job. Where it was, you know, before it just had it just had those like screen fronts where you could put drives, you know, they were just spacers. But now there's spacers there, you know, with the tiny little, it's kind of got a tiny little foam filter going on, allowing air to come in relatively easy, and getting air into those fans. It's doing a wonderful job, and I can't be happier with how all this stuff came out. And I was telling the missus the other day that I don't know if I'm going to be able to do much more with this case without having to get a new one. So, like, if graphics cards keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which it looks like they're going to, they'll either get longer or they'll get fatter. And so my cats never learned to litter box. They just scratch on the side of the goddamn thing for 5 minutes straight. So we're just gonna have to ride this train. Oh my god. I'm not even kidding. This is how long it takes. It's been 4 minutes already. Are you done? Oh, God. I think we can continue. Okay, cables. So you'll see in the back here, done a nice amount of cable management. One thing I've always said is you don't need to use zip ties, and I have not used any more than I've had to. The only one that I believe I used, there are two that I used. One is for the SATA cables that I've zip tied to the drive bay, and there's another one that I used for. It's God damn it. This time around, instead of, well, I wasn't super happy with it. Like, I was happy with it, but I wasn't like ecstatic because the cables were new and trying to make a run out of that is really, really difficult. So what I did this time was, instead of trying to get the whole whole cable to run the way I wanted it to, I took each and every little wire and routed it the way I want it to, and it turned out much better. And the second chain stuck to the first chain, and it works really, really well. Especially when you're looking at it from outside the panel, it looks superb. And honestly, like, I'm so glad that I did this. I don't like using zip ties and I don't like using cable combs. The TeknoAXE Cool Force cable combs that I use, they're really just for aesthetics. Otherwise, I would just use the double stick tape. I think they just look super cool. And they're actually really, really cool. I've had these for a while. They actually gave me these as a sample, and I've said many times, I'm gonna get much more. And so I've got client builds coming up soon that's gonna happen with. One other thing that I'd like to point out is the fan hub, which the up here fans, and I've said this many times, they're as good, if not better, than most of the other brands out there. One, cost. Two, function. They work really, really well. The air coming out of this thing is very, very nice. I like it a lot. You can, like, if I put a piece of paper on here, it's gonna blow it. So price, function, easy to use. They're very easy to use, and it's very comprehensive. The instructions aren't the greatest, and they don't have a website, but it's pretty plug and play. Whereas you have companies like Thermaltake and Corsair where you have to buy, you'll buy a 3-pack of fans for 90 bucks, and then you have to buy the Commander hub, and then if you want lights, you have to get the Lighting Node Pro. You have to use different software than anybody else is using, and it just ends up being some sort of clusterfuck. Whereas this, it'll sync with Asus Armory Crate, it's replaced the Aura Sync. It'll work with Chromatic. It'll work with the MSI stuff. It'll work with it works with anything, and it's like the XPG RAM that I have. It doesn't need its own software. It'll just hook up to the motherboard, and it's really easy to use. All the fans and the ARGB, they plug into the same hub. You can plug in 7 whatevers, and it works just fine. I've been really, really pleased with how this. Oh, and also you'll see the GPU bracket, which was like 15 bucks, and it looks really good. All this stuff is as bright, if not brighter, than pretty much any other fan you're gonna find out there, and it's half the price. Like, 6 fans for 40 bucks, and they're ARGB, and they can work with pretty much anything else. I've got another project that I just finished called Tango Bravo, which you'll see in a bit. I hooked the Cooler Master AIO up to the up here fan hub. I see them popping up more and more and more on like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. Like, if people are selling their computers, I'm seeing them pop up more and more because people know you don't have to spend $100 on 3 goddamn fans. You're buying a brand name, that's all there is to it. I get it, but you don't need to. It's the same thing with pretty much everything else about this case. I didn't get an XFX GPU. I got a Sapphire. What? Why? Because it's better. And it might not be as well known in the US market, but it's better. The Ninja, the up here fans, the Sapphire, the Air Goo lights, which by the way cost me 15 bucks for, it was like 15 bucks for 2 strips, and there's 6 of them in here. Do the math. You know, everything about this, you know, except for the power supply and the, you know, the motherboard and the CPU and the hard drive. Everything else about this is, I did my homework and I found some hidden gems. I think I've been using Up Here for years, so I would wager to guess that I was using Up Here before it was cool. So that's all I got. I'm super happy with this, and if you have the means, I highly recommend doing it yourself. You know, this is now a late gen system, and I'm super happy about that, because every other piece besides the hard drive that's ever gone into this thing was older stuff, and now it's completely late gen, and I'm super happy about it. This is gonna be my machine for a while, and I hope I don't have to replace anything. I was never one of those musicians that would always be buying new guitars. I got my stuff that I liked and I used it. I still have like the same guitars that I worked on my first album on the Toxic Dream. I still have those guitars, and that's 10 years ago. And I've only got 6 guitars. So these will be my parts for the foreseeable future. I'm super happy with it. And I'd like to thank you for watching yet another video about the Commander, and I hope I'm done with this thing for a while. Because like I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do much more to the case than I have without having to just get a new case. I think if I cut much more into it, it's going to reduce the structural integrity to nil. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. The next one's going to be another Blandolf build. So we're doing something else that's not necessarily new. I swear we're having a new project coming up soon. It's done. It's already, the videos are already done. So you'll see those in a few weeks. Thanks a lot, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.